Welcome to Yildiz Readings 5D, a hub in which we cover your zodiacs, astrology, twin flame path, moon energy, and more. Should you need a booking, you can go to the link below. And for all information relating to our psychic tarot extension, the information is in the box below. Without further ado, let's take a look at what I see coming through for your zodiac sign. Were we wrapping up 2022? More than likely, we did have Mars, the planet of war, obsession, passion, sitting in the house of Gemini from August last year, where it did then ingress into the house of Cancer, which it is deemed in as detriment, but many of us are super excited at the fact that we get a break of that. Separately, we had Saturn shifting into the house of Pisces, which occurred on the 7th of March, 2023. It will remain there in the house until 2025. Separately, our big Pluto ingress into the house of Aquarius did occur last month. This also is going to be a huge subject coming in the collective due to the fact it's going to shift between Capricorn and Aquarius, wrapping up its karmic cycle. It can feel a little bit testing, especially now because it was at the 29-degree point, shifting into 0 degrees of Aquarius. We're still trying to get our footings and getting the PDF of what subjects are going to be really looked at with great detail and really cast out because they're simply not working. Let's take a look at how this month is going to be shaped for us and what we need to be prepared for. Now, what can April bring? Number one, we do have an eclipse occurring this month. Number two, we do have Mercury moving retrograde. We're going to feel that mid-month. We also have Mars sitting in the house of Cancer. That can bring themes of emotions to the surface, and we do need to try and be patient. And I definitely see some themes really playing out in a sense of new beginnings. And I found it really interesting at the fact that we had a new moon last month and we're having another new moon in Aries in two sets. So I really felt as though we were going to start something brand new, have an inkling of it, but really not get the full, momentum of it happening. And I do feel we're going to have more clues to this, but it really started to set the stage last month. And so wherever that Aries placement is for each zodiac, which I'll dive into, what I'm seeing is this hybrid partial eclipse that is going to be occurring on the 20th of April, 2023. And I feel it's important, don't make any major decisions if you can. Moon is very emotional. It can be home, family, mother, intuitive energy. And Sun is the identity, the logic, and generally speaking through that, we tend to not have either. So, whereby we can delay making decisions, especially because it's already entering into that shadow phase of Mercury retrograde in the house of Taurus. I think it's really important to, I would say, be optimistic, but be cautious. Really, dot your I's and cross your T's. You could feel that some blessings are coming back to you from the past, but it also can be a time where we're going backwards to go forward simultaneously. But I do see this is a brand new chapter. So I would say by mid-month, try to have your ducks in a row. Try and keep as organised as possible and be aware of those inkling frustrations and tension points where we do have that first eclipse of the year, which is a hybrid. We also are having a full moon in the house of Libra. And I think that's pretty interesting because both the axis of Libra and Aries will be coming about later in the year as the nodes move. And they tend to set the tone of what we have astrologically happening globally. And I did say really at a collective level that feminines do need to be very cautious of how they show up in society, of their safety, their wellness, and being that we're entering April with Mars in the house of Cancer, practice safety, practice self-awareness, try to build people up, try to not pull them down, but very much protect yourself where need be. As we do move into the month of April, we are in the vibration of angel number 4. Separately, we can also look to number 11 for added guidance, as we do have it being the 4th month in 2023, breaking down to an 11. Now, what I see coming through for this is we can have this sense that we are feeling very alone, that we're feeling very isolated. This particularly could be because Mars is in the house of Cancer. And so with our endeavors, with our hopes, with our feelings, we can particularly really feel misunderstood. Now, 11 is a brand new chapter. We can feel a little bit out of our depth, but know everything is very divinely guided. Alignment is key, but it's a brand new chapter. So again, the tedious frequency of the precipice of change can feel like you are a giraffe trying to gain its bearings. Know that you're not alone and that help is coming. You are going to be attracting in brand new situations. And even if you do feel out of your depth, know that universe has your back. It is the precipice of change that does make us feel very tense. Trust the process. We can feel misunderstood with our feelings, our emotions. And again, Mars can bring volatility to those dynamics. So knowing where Mars in Cancer falls in your chart could be pretty key. And also really getting prepared, because we do have an eclipse this month. And so where you're feeling that there is lack, there are also going to be opportunities. And it's really about getting into alignment, seeking out those situations, having that attention in those areas of your life and enhancing them where need be. The burning question on all of our lips may be, is this month going to be any better? Are we ready? Are we prepared? And what is hidden? And I'm going to cover all of that inside of your zodiac. I will give you tips where I feel are necessary inside of any heavy energy that does potentially come through. And separately, you can book a private session or join a YouTube membership. Let's take a look at your zodiac sign and all the various areas that can play out this month for you. Aquarius, welcome back. We're here to do your update. Yes, this is a game changer for you. You did have last month Pluto leave Capricorn temporarily, but nevertheless, it is going to aid you. It was transiting over your 12th house. And there was almost, with the 12th house, it could have been very psychic. There might have been a lot of psychology involved. The earlier energies born in that energy of Pluto in Capricorn, really we're going through some hard testing times over the last 20 years, depending on your age bracket. Now, it has ingressed into the house of Aquarius last month. And so for you, it's very personal. It's like the changes you want to make, and it can make you feel anxious. It can make you tap into a lot of the more dark taboo themes. It can be self-esteem. It can be image. It can be your life and the direction that you want to change. And yes, it can be physically happening to you, but happening for you. Separately, we do have the big eclipse happening this month, the full moon in Libra, Mercury moving retrograde, and the PDF of the nodal shift pending, as well as Jupiter will be ingressing soon into the house of Taurus. As you do move into the month, your attention is going to be quite focused in on the area of Aries, and this can be a lot of new chapters, a lot of new routines, signing of contracts, deep conversations, confidence, but a lot of intellectual thoughts. So you might be using your brain a lot more than usual. The other thing is we do have Venus sitting in the house of Taurus, which can be a lot to do with beautifying the home, a lot to do with the money around the home, enjoying being at home, enjoying family, can be parenthood, mother energy. And, that's really sitting there till about the 11th. Mercury also by the 3rd will enter this zone. And you're also going to have that going on where there could be a lot of communication going back and forth, a lot of reworking your finances, reworking how you're addressing things around home. Like I said, beautifying the home, but very busy around family and home-based projects for many of you. Even home-based businesses, it can be a possibility, and wealth can derive from that. As Venus moves into the house of Gemini, it can be to do with children, romance. It can be very loved up. We will look at love. We're going to look at career, wellness, the moon phases, and any other tips and psychic energy I have, and then into the extension, wrapping up your video. But a very exciting new chapter, even though we can feel anxious moving into the age of Aquarius. I really did say this a while ago, is that a lot of us are going to be looking at you, and it's because we are going to embody that vibration of the Aquarian energy, which is deeply intuitive, maybe being the black sheep, The polarities of being connected to a tribe but maybe disconnected, and how we can find harmony between both of those things. How can we be ourselves and be independent, but also be within a crowd, within a group? And, what are those yin to the yang situations? Saturn also did enter your second house. And so a lot of you can be more responsible with your cash component, more responsible with your assets. And you're going to be more attracted to things that are going to stand the test of time. You have huge dreams, and the sacrifices you make now are going to set you up. We are going to have Saturn sitting in the house of Pisces until 2025. It ingressed into the house of Pisces in February, and we've really been looking at that. The bonus is Neptune was there it still is there now. And Neptune, whenever we have a Neptune retrograde, what I found was with my personal transits with Neptune involved, is that during a retrograde, we have revelations, and it's like, oh, wow, we've been out of sync, we've been out of balance, we've been delusional. But it can be the dream, because we're going towards a dream. The beauty is Saturn is going to give us the realism of it. Okay, this is how you build it. This is how you structure it. This is how you manage it. This is how you grow it. And it can be bank accounts and savings. Your second house can be your land, your material value, your confidence, your self-esteem. And I do see a huge evolution going through with your zodiac sign. So it's not that you're poor at money management. Everyone collectively, due to that Neptunian placement, was having issues with it. But this year, it's going to show us how to achieve that. The other thing we had going on last year was squares to Uranus and Taurus, and that was really causing a bugbear, especially for you relating to your family, your home, accommodation, moving, not being able to move, limitations. Squares to Saturn also, and your own individual sign, because Saturn was in your zodiac sign. It was causing a lot of issues with you being able to achieve those things. And I think a lot of us are deeply relieved this year that when we do put effort in now, we're going to be more realistic about what risks we're going to take. We're going to be more mature about it. The risk we do run with Saturn is we won't be using that Jupiter energy completely. In one breath, Jupiter's like, yeah, man, go do it. Jupiter also, over the last few years, Sagittarius, for instance, has really gone through an evolution and a change. And those of you that maybe are dealing with Sagittarius have witnessed that. So now the logic to do with growth, spirituality, values, it's really transformed after the last few years. The travel industry, for instance, being Jupiter in energy, has changed over the years. And so the risk we run is that we may, because it's intuitive energy, and it's lucky that you are an air sign, that's going to aid you in this, but a lot of earth-based frequencies or fire, it's almost like they're going to learn how to use their intuition and not to let the intuition stop them from moving forward. A little bit like the Fool card in Tarot. It's like, we've got to jump in the deep end. Unbeknownst to us, it can go good or bad, but we've got to give it a shot, So I do see you being more mature. You also can be more firm with your diet during this time. Let's get into your romance house, and we're going to cover each area for you. If you do want a private booking, you can go to the link below. Now, from August last year, we had Mars transiting your fifth house of romance, children, pregnancies might have been possible, obsession, really, how could I say it? Obsessive energy, because Mars can be very obsessive. It can be very obsessive. It can be masculine. And so there could have been some power dynamics with your children, with your social endeavors. It could have been with your love interest and what they feel you should be doing versus what, you want to do. And I really said during that time, moving into 2023, codependency simply won't work in connections. So if they're, Gemini's a very independent sign. And funny enough, by the 11th, we are having Venus move into Gemini. So this is really going to be interesting. I can't wait to do the podcast update in relation to this transit for the collective energy. So I would say if you do feel controlled inside of a relationship, you may be a bit more defiant. Communication also can become more complicated as we do transition into Mercury retrograde. Blast from the past can return as well, and really reworking and confusion. There can be confusion and cross wires around family, our home environment, our schedule can go into disarray. But there also can be some information that comes in that we didn't know about. Separately, I would say it still can be romantic, okay, because it is Venus, but it will require independence and autonomy. So if there's any codependency coming up, insecurities and self-esteem related dynamics from the 11th and beyond, be aware that that would be the reason why. It's not that, and that naturally is your demeanor. You are a very independent person. You are a it's like you're your own personal guru, you're your own person. So you really require social connections, and you can be extremely social this month. So if you have a love interest that is very controlling, or you feel they're just not giving you any attention, if anything, it's going to make you more obsessive of them. But you're also going to want that autonomy. You're really going to be social. Now, the pressure also is going to come off that zone. Mars did make you very fatigued, so it might have been it was very in and out. It was very choppy. It was hot and cold. You may have had boundaries, then you may have given your power away. And I feel you're going to be more vocal. I do feel you're maturing in your communication style, but you're trying to articulate to individuals what that dream is. But you're also going to be very cautious about what you give and how you deal with things. And you could be really checking how you're communicating. I do feel with the sun in the house of Aries until the 20th, you can be more vocal towards love. And again, busy. Some of you could be getting fit. Some of you could be getting to a point where you're determined to get what you want, and you're going to make it happen, but you're going to have a busy time. Now, Mars in the house of Cancer can be making you feel that you have a lot to do in a very short space of time. The give and take within connections also is going to frustrate you. That can be with your friendship groups. It can be with your romantic interests, what you do versus what the other person does. I mean, it's a whoopee cushion. Let me be frank. Mars does not like being in the house of Cancer. It is in your health zone. You do need to look after your health this transit up until mid next month, if not the whole of next month. So FYI on that. You also could have, issues with pets. They could be a little bit more rebellious at this point in time. Now, I would say during the eclipse, keep in mind that because your Venus house collectively as an Aquarian is Leo, and we are having Venus retrograde this year. It's not happening yet. I'll get to it. Be aware that during an eclipse with the sun and the moon merging, there can be some darkness surrounding connections for you. Okay, you may not have clarity. You may not know where things are going. You can feel a little bit insecure. It is natural. It will pass. It doesn't mean it's the status quo. It doesn't mean it's not working. Try to be very present in your own energy. Be aware of it though. So both your communication, your feeling, the things you're doing, crosswise with love, and, feeling a little bit disillusioned is a possibility. It doesn't mean it's so. Healing the heart and hearing from people during that time also is a possibility. But you, during this time, what is happening is between you and your daily routine, you in communication, something can be changing in your life quite radically, and it can shock you. That's all I'm going to say. It can feel shocking. I don't think it has to be bad, though. It does not have to be bad. But Pluto in Aquarius is squaring your zodiac sign during this eclipse, and Mercury is retrograding. So you could be having some very interesting things happen, and multitasking can be difficult. So keep that in mind. Definitely for those of you that are single, new chapters, new love opportunities, social endeavors are going to bring opportunities in towards you. And you can meet some very interesting characters as well as blast from the past. Now, Mercury retrograde is not a bad time to reconnect with these individuals. If anything, especially a Venus retrograde or a Mercury retrograde, that is the best time to deal with old individuals. So, healing those cycles, closing it out if you feel it's over, reviewing, seeing if you're now both on the same page. So it can be a very positive thing. Sit with it, roll with it, understand there can be crosswise and go with the flow, but definitely be open, beautiful. Now, your purpose in life and your daily routine definitely is going to change. Some of you can be signing new contracts. Some of you also could be running home-based businesses. In these situations, both sides of the fence can be quite lucrative. You are going to be more assertive, especially with your resources. You're really building them up. And I do predict that between now and 2025, where it does come to your career, your professional resources are going to build. You are going to nurture them. You are going to treat them with a new sense of value. And it is because it's a binding mutual agreement. You're going to, how would I put it? You're going to commit to it due to a dream you have in mind. Separately, I would say your schedule and your home-related dynamics can become very hectic this month, so you're going to have to be patient. I would also look after your wellness. Mars is going to make you more active, number one. So you're going to be like a go-go gadget legs. You're going to be able to wrap things up very quickly. Your intuition is really going to help you. If you can stay grounded and reduce your emotions, there is a positive possibility. Pregnancy is also a possibility, maternity leave, etc. But I do particularly feel your creativity is really going to come out, and people are going to see you for a multitasker that you really are. If you did want to shift positions, shift jobs, there is a time during this month that is a positive, that is a possibility. I would say during Mercury retrograde, that can be difficult. There can be some sense of delays. And I definitely feel, how would I explain it? Down to your emails, double checking your emails, double checking that you've understood what is required of you, double reading the contracts. You could have a move of home during this time if you haven't already. But I do feel some of you could also be saving for a home. Separately, within the career sector, people are going to find you very approachable, very worthy of, the blessings that they're willing to give you. And people can come in and aid you in different ways. Some of you could be doing two positions. And I do particularly feel you at a personal level are ready for that change. You're ready to dive in the deep end. I don't know why I'm picking Olivia Newton-John, and it's like, let's get physical. Look, Mars can be a positive and it can be a negative. In the house of Cancer, it can be deemed as in its detriment, which means it doesn't like to be there. Mars is like, get rid of the emotion. Let's just get in and do it. Whereas Cancer is an emotional zodiac sign. It doesn't mean Cancerians are emotional. My rising is Cancer. Intuitive, logical, feeling, homely, mothering, nurturing, approachable. So, there's a difference between being assertive and direct and bold and vivacious to being nurturing, loving. And so you're trying to find the healthy combination between the both. And yes, it's a little bit like the Beyonce song, after she had her baby, she really sung about motherhood. And, Cancer is the epitome of motherhood or parenthood or family and tribe, home-related environments. Very good time at the moment to be looking after your body. You do need to look after your health. Don't burn the candle at both ends. Know your limitations. Don't give your power away. Make sure that if somebody is requiring so much more of you, that you're vocalizing in an adult, healthy fashion. Look, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. That's your role. Because what you can run the risk of is burnout. Mars is only there for a short space of time, not as long as the transit we had with Mars in the House of Gemini. That was making you very anxious. So potentially those of you in your creative projects, you felt sluggish, you felt tired, you felt this lackluster when it came to socializing. The vibration is shifting now, and you may wish to socialize, you may wish to connect to people. There can be lots of conversations going on, so your throat chakra needs protecting. Overindulgence, maybe there is a possibility. Eating on the run, being very creative, tapping into gardening, art, creativity, and doing things that make you feel good. I would say with Mars and Cancer, though, reaching into Mercury retrograde and our eclipse, I'd really look after your wellness, not going to extremes with pacifiers. Pluto will be making a square. It's in your zodiac sign. So again, knowing your limitations and not going above and beyond, where you're burning yourself out, looking after your aura, checking the use by dates and foods, because we do have Mercury retrograding in a Venus sign. Use by dates, not overindulging. We can hit the cookie jar, although I do feel yours is quite a lean, mean fighting machine this month. Again, I would say just be careful of pacifiers, negative energy, taking time for self and getting grounded. Now, I do see possibilities of pay rises, but there can be some anxiousness around, how you can manage these things. I definitely see by making budgets, getting your ducks in a row. Don't go to extremes with the home decorating and the exuberance and the social endeavors with family members. It's there in a transit, but Mercury will be retrograde. So later in the month, save a little bit of coin left so that you have that backup plan during that retrograde. There can again be during Mercury retrograde a lot of tidying up. You can lose things, you can misplace things. What else would I say? Yeah, have some candles, have some home security, sorted. But I do feel beautifying, and I do feel meditating upon your budget within home, how you're dealing with it. Separately, Saturn is helping you make your dreams come true. There can be some very grounding situations going on. You also can have some changes that are personally bringing the abundance to you. And people can be blessing you with gifts. It can be family members helping out. I also feel romance also can bring some beautiful blessings. And through your creative pursuits, you could actually find a side hustle. Now, entering into this month, we are having the full moon in the house of Libra on the 6th of April, 2023. Now, collectively, we can find that we are looking at our wellness. Something can be coming to a head. We can have such in the media. Very separately, what we can find within our own personal zodiacs is key things relating to wellness, love, abundance, balance, and justice. I do feel, as we do look at this at a collective level, I do feel we are going to be really reworking what we can do to keep ourselves grounded, keep ourselves healthy, and to find the most stable way to have a brand new beginning without being codependent. Due to the fact the next moon is going to be a hybrid eclipse, which I'll get into in a moment. Let's take a look at how this links to your zodiac sign and what I see coming up for you with the full moon in Libra on the 6th of April, 2023. Now, a full moon in the 9th house can be completing a contract. It can be tying loose ends up. It may be the Jupiter energy. Some of you could get engaged. Some of you could come to terms for the previous relationship. Some of you may wrap up not that I can legally give you advice, but it might be like a legal situation. It could be something that maybe was bugging you and you wrap it up. There also could be a closing of a cycle relating to you and a sibling. And definitely on the travel front, I definitely feel some of you may decide that, especially because the North Node's going to be in your 3rd house, it could be, okay, due to a personal circumstance in your life, you're going to be more local now. You're not going to be maybe flying around the globe or doing anything like that. You could be quite local for the next 3 years. One example of that could be becoming a parent, and so your daily routine or your physical routine is different. It could be a transition of a career. So maybe you were driving on the road and then you're going into an office. So it can happen in a myriad of ways. Spiritual values and belief systems also can come about that are transforming and changing. I also feel some of you could be upskilling, educating, turning over a new leaf for your future. And that can be something that you decide to do during the next few years. Keep an eye on this month. It's going to give you an ideal of what some of those themes were. And I do know the last transits, to my belief, I think it was in 1996, around 1995 a little bit. 2004, ironically enough, my daughter's an Aquarian, and, you know, that was the year we had the eclipses in Aries, and, you know, she is an Aquarian. So looking back to that time, depending on your age bracket. Now, the very first eclipse of the year has come in two sets. The moon is deemed as a black moon, is because we had two new moons in one set, being Aries. Now, this is the first eclipse of the year, being a hybrid partial solar eclipse in Aries on the 20th of April 2023. Now, it's also at the critical degrees, and being a new moon, I do particularly feel this can be something quite radically changing very quickly, especially because this is your first house of self. This could be a time in which, with Mercury retrograde, don't do anything drastic when it does come to your hair, your makeup, plastic surgery. I would pause. Now, Mars wants to go in where, you know, it wants to move forward. It's in a hurry. This would be the time where benefits from the past can come. People can appreciate you. You have large revelations to do with yourself. Also, where you're living, feeling, sensing, intuition can come up. But I would say don't rush. I do particularly feel, because we do have situations retrograding at this point, and this is eclipse, as much as possible, we may find that there's more information coming to us, and this can really aid us through having that brand new direction and confidence for the future. I do particularly feel for you at a personal level, this could be anything to the degree of gaining confidence, having clarity, making a conscious choice of a brand new way that you're going to be, you know, defying the odds, so to speak, not putting up with rubbish. This also could be image changes, quite radically so. And I do particularly feel you could be putting your foot down and saying, I know what I want out of life and I'm going to go and get it. Status also can come into this. So you could go to rags to riches, riches to fame. Again, I would take time with that. This also can be engagements, and personal changes that you physically go through your own personal status. But I do feel it can be greatly healing, and confidence can resurface yet again. Don't be surprised if you do go down the rabbit hole of emotions during it, but it is really going to set the stage. And once we unpack and digest what that is, you may very well find that as we proceed through the next 6 months into 2025, really, because the nodes will be shifting by such that that new tone for your life, both with your marriages, contracts, partnerships, and yourself, you versus other people, is going to look extremely different. Get ready for that 180, baby. Now, for some of you, you can have some information that does come through to you during this time. It can be a document. It might be completing something. It can be a brand new vehicle. Some of you can have a new routine that you take on, a new role that you take on. Again, I do see a contract. So I do think this is going to be in the up and up, a very positive thing. This can be to do with driving, getting a vehicle, getting new technology. But whatever it is, whatever you start during this time, it can be a conversation. It could be a new routine that you embody. What else am I seeing? Difficulties during that time is possible for, you know, a week in, a week out. Digest it. The other thing I can see is information and gossip can come through. It is Mercury, and good grief, it could be that just does a whole 180 on you, and it changes your whole life. So it could be gossip that comes in, communication, your style of communication. You could reach a closure point with a person and go, right, this is the direction we're going. But it's a new chapters, and it does feel very passionate, whatever it is. It does make us feel nervous to a degree, but it's life-changing, and it will be moving you in a new direction over the next 6 to 12 months. Some of you also could fall pregnant during this time, and it's like a test or results coming through. I do feel also because Pluto will be squaring, it's like, okay, well, I've got some changes. I'm out of my depth. Am I going to be okay? Yes, you are going to be okay. It's difficulties generally. Squares are like, squares are difficulties. It's like, how am I going to do that? Okay, might take a bit of time, but how am I going to do that? So during the eclipse, Mercury also will be retrograde. It can be to do with becoming a mother or a home related dynamic, a home based business. Just give it a few days. Things will make sense. Take stock of it. Feel free to book a reading and we can tune into how that can play out with you. Mars is going to make you like go gadget legs. You are going to be obsessed, busy, 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 busy. You also are going to realize some childhood traumas. You may feel at times that you hide things from yourself and they're revelations about control and power. But I do feel overall you're going to be able to pull things together. You're going to be able to rise above emotions, get in, jump in the deep end, and get things done during the month. Now, like I said, you can enjoy that Venusian energy as Mercury enters the house of Taurus from the 3rd of April. Venus will already be there, so socializing, beautifying the home, enjoying and nurturing yourself. Overindulgence is very possible, but it moves retrograde. So although it moves retrograde from the 21st, close to the eclipse, separately what we do have is mid-month you will get the shadow phase. So I would say get any of the heavy lifting done. Don't overschedule yourself. You could say, yeah, no drama, we're having a barbecue, and something comes up. If it's at a drop of a hat, it's going to work better. If it's not, there could be some crosswires and confusion. Try to not take things personal during this time. I do feel you can really be reconnecting, and it does bring in family members as well. So what you can find is you haven't seen people for a long time. Bang, they end up in the state and they're popping in, they're coming to see you. Friendship groups, connections, really emotionally having candid conversations about the past, about your childhood. It's the 4th house. Thinking, reminiscing, photos resurfacing, childhood friends coming back during this time, love interests coming back and visiting you and communicating with you, nostalgia. But again, on the home, it can be cleaning things up, getting things organized, beautifying, white goods breaking down. Good old Pluto. Try to be patient, okay? Especially with your expenses. Like I mentioned at the beginning, keep a little bit back for this point in the month. Well and truly by mid-month, a little bit of savings on the side. Have some food, have some resources at home, have some candles as well, although I'd probably go a torch, not candles, because Mars is in Cancer, house fires. Power outages are possible, okay? Take care, and let's get into your psychic messages. Let's take a look at some of the psychic messages I have for your zodiac sign. And then if you do wish to get the extension, you can go through to our YouTube membership or read the information below for the Psychic Tarot extension. Without further ado, let's take a look at your psychic update and what I see coming through for you. I tell you, I just feel some real major changes are going to happen for you. And I do feel some of you are going to feel a little bit emotional, a little bit out of your depth, but then you're going to be bloody, darn on it assertive. You're going to be like, I'm ready for this. I'm doing this. I've got this. Some of you can enter into a new romance. Some of you are going to get a text message from a honey. And even if you're partnered, I'm telling you, it's like, some of you can be gospelly shocked at some people showing you amorous, kind of, oh, how would we say, attitudes. It's like, wow, where did that come from? And it can be ever so slight. But again, I'm hearing the term sending it out an SOS. Very, very flirtatious. I do feel you're going to be a little bit defiant. You're going to be like, no, I want to get my sass on. I want to be me. I do feel some of you, it's like I'm seeing Little Red Riding Hood, and she's skipping through the woods. She's going to Grandma's house, and The wolf comes out, and I don't feel it's about a wolf. I'm not saying that. Oh, it could be. There could be some shady individual that you're keeping an eye on and you haven't quite made up your mind to do with. But you're going to be able to deal with that. So I feel that's a side. It's almost like a side chick, really. It's like, look, that's a side issue. It's not. It's my guides are saying to me, you can deal with anything, and I don't feel that's a dominant frequency coming up. What I am saying is something is doing a 180 on you, and where you thought you were going to grandma's, you're actually going somewhere else. So expect the unexpected. Okay, I hope you get the PDF that. Some of you are you're adamant you're going to have success. I don't know if you want to become a millionaire, but there's this vibration that done on it, you're going to make something of yourself. You're going to, whatever you feel that dream is, it's almost like I see you shaking your finger. Your soul is not going to let you fail. It's like it's not a negotiation. It's not even an option. You're like, I'm going to make it happen. I don't know how. I'm not even going to get it up in my head. I'm going to make this happen, and I will work it out. And I think you're keeping your cards close to your chest. I even feel for those of you that are in a partnership, a contract, you're not telling anyone, it's a creative idea. Journal it down, because I do feel some of those creative ideas can become quite lucrative. Some of you can have lady luck with wins and lotteries. Some of you can fall pregnant. Some of you are going to cut a friend off. You're like, no, you're out, go. Don't want to speak to you. Yeah, very vocal, especially if they've been really peeving you off. You've been patient. You've been trying to see what they're saying, what they're doing. You're watching them. You're baffled by it. One person in particular, and that they just keep putting the finger one. Pardon me. You're cutting them out. I hope to see you through on the other side in our YouTube membership for your Psychic Tarot extension. Come through and take a look what I see coming through for you. I hope to see you through on the other side in our YouTube membership.